Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that so many of us deal with, that powerful and sometimes kind of hidden cycle of stress and anxiety. We're going to dig into what kicks it off, what's really going on inside our brains, and most importantly, how we can start to break free. I really wanted to start with this because it is so important. If you've ever felt trapped in that loop, you know how lonely it can feel. But the truth is, so many of us are on this exact same path. And just understanding how it all works is a huge first step toward finding your way out. So let's get into what anxiety really is. It's not just some random feeling that pops up out of nowhere. It's actually a cycle, a self-sustaining one, where our thoughts, our feelings, and even our actions all feed into each other, just keeping the whole thing going. Okay, so this whole thing usually happens in four main stages. It all starts with a trigger. That trigger then sets off a chain of anxious thoughts. Of course, those thoughts make us feel pretty bad. Those are the negative feelings. And then, to cope with those feelings, we do things, behaviors, that, funny enough, end up just reinforcing the whole cycle all over again. Let's break each of these down. First up, the trigger. This is really just the spark that lights the fuse. Now, a trigger can be something obvious, something external, like a really stressful meeting at work or a tough conversation you have to have. But, and this is key, it can also be totally internal, just a random worry about the future that flashes in your mind. It could even be a smell or a sound that your brain is connected to a stressful memory from way back. Now, while all this feels like it's just in your head, it's actually being driven by some very real, very biological stuff happening inside your brain. So let's take a peek under the hood and see how a simple thought can spiral into a full body response. Tucked away deep inside your brain is this tiny almond-shaped little thing called the amygdala. The easiest way to think about it is as your brain's alarm system. It's your personal fear center, and it's a super important part of our wiring for survival. It's designed to manage fear and emotions to keep us safe. Okay, now here is the really crucial part. This alarm system was built to save us from, an immediate threat, like a tiger jumping out of the bushes. But today, that same alarm is getting set off by a stressful email or being stuck in traffic. And what researchers have found is that long-term chronic stress can actually rewire the amygdala. It makes its fear circuits way more excitable. It's kind of like someone snuck in and turned the sensitivity dial on your alarm system all the way up, leaving you in this constant state of high alert, where that alarm is just waiting to go off at any second. So, you've got your brain's fear center on high alert. What happens next? Well, we often fall into a very specific kind of thinking that just pours gasoline on the fire. This is what we call the repetitive thought trap. There's a name for this, actually. It's called rumination. It's that mental habit of just chewing on the same unhelpful thoughts, the same worries, the same problems over and over and over. It feels like you're trying to solve something, but in reality, you're just stuck on a hamster wheel, going nowhere near a solution. And this slide really shows the critical difference, right? Rumination is all about those dead-end why questions. Why do I feel like this? Why does this always happen to me? They just keep you stuck. But problem solving, that's about productive how questions. How can I deal with this right now? See the difference? It's a huge shift from being trapped by the problem to actually finding a way forward. But here is the really good news in all of this. This cycle can absolutely be broken. Understanding how it works is the key because it shows us exactly where we can step in and make a change. So let's talk about some real, actionable strategies to help you do just that. The goal here is to interrupt that cycle. A great way to start is with mindfulness. And all that really means is just practicing pulling your attention back to right here, right now. Then, instead of avoiding the things that make you anxious, you can gradually, slowly start to face them, which teaches your brain that you're actually safe. Then there's that active problem solving we talked about, switching from why to how. And finally, you can learn to challenge those anxious thoughts directly. Ask yourself, hey, is this thought 100% true? Is there maybe another way of looking at this? But look, sometimes trying these strategies on your own just isn't enough, especially if anxiety is tangled up with other big challenges, like addiction recovery. When that's the case, getting through the cycle really calls for more structured support. And the most important thing to know is that you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. Yeah, when you're dealing with more than one thing at once, getting specialized help is absolutely crucial. You really need a team that gets the complicated dance between recovery, stress, and anxiety. A team that can guide you with real expertise and, just as important, with compassion. And that is exactly why a place like Recovery CNT exists. They offer outpatient services right there in New Jersey, and their whole model is built to help you get the support you need while still being able to keep up with your job, your family, and your day-to-day life. You don't have to put everything on hold to get better. So what does their help actually look like? Well, first off, it's personalized, boutique-style care in small, intimate groups. That means you're never just a face in the crowd. They use proven, evidence-based medical treatments to help manage things safely. They also know that recovery involves everyone you love, so they bring in family for therapy sessions. And they even have specific programs designed for professionals and for students, because they know the pressures you face are unique. Just seeing the cycle for what it is, that's a huge step. But deciding to get help, that's the next one. It can feel like the absolute hardest part of the journey, but I promise you, it is also the most powerful. The journey out of that anxiety loop starts with one single decision. And please remember this. Asking for help is not weakness. It is a profound, powerful act of hope and courage. So the only question left is, are you ready to take that step? If anything we've talked about today resonated with you, just know that help is out there and you are so not alone in this. You can connect with the amazing, compassionate team at Recovery CNT by visiting their website at recoverycnt.com, or you can call them at 1-732-484-9661. Please reach out today. Help is waiting.